Hello, friends. Welcome back to the fanfiction Baked with Love. This is going to be the last video. This fic is 11 chapters, and this is going to be chapters 10 and 11. Chapter 10 is technically like the last chapter, and then chapter 11 is the epilogue. So we're going to get right into it. Chapter 10, Baked with Love. The mornings had started to feel different. A little less loud, a little busier, and much warmer. Quieter in a way that didn't feel empty. Kirishima stood behind the counter, rolling up his sleeves. His apron already had a dusting of flour from the first batch of scones, and his coffee sat half forgotten behind the register. He watched Bakugo work, brows furrowed, hands steady, sleeves pushed up like always. Same routine, same rhythm, but the tension in his shoulders had eased. The silence between them wasn't thick anymore. It was lived in. The article had gone live 3 days ago, not the original, the one Bakugo read in the dark, with flour still under his nails and emotion caught in his throat. That one had been too raw and too close. That one had been for him. This version, the public one, was gentler, still honest, still sharp in the places that mattered, but softened. There's a man in a black-walled bakery who bakes like he's fighting for his life. His food doesn't beg for attention. It dares you to survive it. But if you do, you'll find something else underneath. Resilience, depth, and a touch of sweet caramel. Kirishima hadn't told him it went up. He didn't need to. The next morning, there was an extra cup of coffee waiting on the counter. Black with 1 sugar, no questions asked. Then yesterday, someone walked in holding the story open on their phone. Middle-aged guy, windblown and clearly not from town. I read this, he said, a little awkward, and I don't know. I just felt like I had to come. Bakugo didn't say anything, just gave him the best slice of lemon tart he'd ever plated. Now, the oven clicked softly behind them. The sky outside the windows glowed with that gold-edged blue that only came from early autumn. Kirishima turned to Bakugo, leaning on the counter, just enough for their elbows to bump. "You know," he said, a slow grin tugging at his mouth, "you never did thank me for making you famous." Bakugo grunted. "Not famous, just busier." "Still," Kirishima teased, "you could offer me a lifetime supply of croissants. Maybe your eternal gratitude?" Bakugo didn't look over, but he nudged him back. "You're lucky I didn't throw that article in the trash." "You read it, though," Kirishima said softly. Bakugo was quiet for a second too long. "Yeah," he admitted, voice lower now. "I read it." Kirishima didn't push. He didn't need to. He looked around the bakery, the quiet hum of it, the trays of cooling pastries, the chalkboard menu with half its notes crossed out, and smiled, not because it was perfect, but because it was theirs. "I wasn't supposed to fall for you, you know," he said casually, brushing a bit of flour from Bakugo's sleeve. Bakugo's hands stilled over the dough. He didn't turn to speak, just stood there, back to him, silent for a long time. Then quietly, "Yeah, me neither." Kirishima swallowed. His heart kicked a little, gentle yet unmistakable. "I think I could stay," he said. Bakugo finally looked up and met his eyes. And in that look, soft and sharp and completely unguarded, was everything. "You already did," he muttered, then added after a pause. "So, you're in for the long haul?" Kirishima smiled, eyes warm, stepping close and cupping Bakugo's cheek. "I hope you've got room for 2, because I'm not going anywhere." And then he leaned in and kissed him. Chapter 11, the epilogue. 1 year later. The sign on the door had changed. It now said, "Closed Mondays," but still had that same crooked chalk lettering and passive-aggressive note about not asking for substitutions. But underneath that, scrawled in a different hand, rounder, looser, Slightly smug was a second line. Open hearts, no refunds. Bakugo swore he'd erase it every time he saw it, but he never did. The bakery smelled like orange zest and something spiced, the kind of flavor Bakugo grumbled about not liking, which made it easier to guess who it was for. The front window caught the morning light just right, turning the flour in the air to gold. Across the room, Kirishima stood on a chair, adjusting a new photo display. All candid shots, all his. Some of the bakery, some of the town. One special shot caught Bakugo mid-laugh, a fork in Kirishima's hand, a smear of frosting on Bakugo's cheek. They're both slightly out of focus, but together and happy. They'd tried to take a selfie, one of those quick, just smile and get it over with moments, but they were laughing, mid-motion, a little out of frame, off-centered, slightly blurry, but real. The kind of photo no one plans for, the kind that feels like a memory. You hung that one? Bakugo barked, spotting it. It's the best one. Even though it's not perfect, Kirishima called back without turning. Looks like you. The you I came back for. Bakugo rolled his eyes. Still annoying. Kirishima climbed down, grin easy and eyes soft. And yet, you still let me stay. Bakugo didn't answer, just looked at him for a second longer than necessary, then turned back to the dough with a muttered idiot. But his hands were steady, his chest was light, and the bakery, their bakery, felt like exactly what it was meant to be, full of something good, small, honest, and baked with love. All right, thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this whole fic. I really like Bakugo as a baker, I guess because like even in the show he really enjoys cooking and stuff, so I loved this. And I was trying to think of a different way to tell like a story about him being a baker, because I feel like a lot of times I do Kirishima as like a coffee shop owner or something like that, and I wanted something different. So I hope you guys like this, where Bakugo is baker and Kirishima is a photographer. As normal, the link to the original fic that's posted on AO3 will be posted in the description. And just so that I say it again, this whole fic is called Baked with Love, and it is written by me, Beauty and the Bookshelf, and those are my handles on YouTube, Instagram, and AO3. All right, I hope you guys really enjoyed this one as much as I did. And, keep coming back to check out the channel because I still have quite a few fan fictions that I have written to record. All right, I'll see you guys next time.